In Del Norte County and Crescent City news.
Hello, members of the council and supervisors. My name is Chia, and I'm a member of the Storm Youth Coalition, as well as a junior at Del Norte High School. We are here today because vaping has become a big problem and among our peers and with younger kids. Each of our members today will share their perspectives and experiences with you and why we think it's important for you to support a tobacco retail license. One of the main reasons why vaping is so popular with kids is, of course, the flavors, which makes it seem like it's cool, which in reality it's not. And as we went over, there will be a referendum on November, but not only are kids like us unable to vote for what we believe in would protect us, but in the time that would take for a law like this to go into effect. More and more youth are becoming addicted to nicotine and are at risk of the harmful effects of tobacco use. We hope that you hear our voices today and that you help protect all of our community's children and youth.
Let's cut to the chase. On Tuesday evening, a joint meeting of the Del Norte County Board of Supervisors and the Crescent City Council was held in Crescent City. After 3 hours of presentations and testimonies, justifications, obfuscations, rationalizations, and good old hemming and hawing, the majority of supervisors and council members sided with drug dealers and against Del Norte County's children. At the request of an organized group of local young people and some adult allies, county and city officials were asked to implement a tobacco retail licensing ordinance, also known as a TRL. The TRL would ban the sale of flavored vapes in the county and the city. Flavored vape products are designed and marketed in order to entice and addict young people before they're mature enough to fully understand the consequences of using nicotine delivery systems, therefore providing short-term profits to local marketers and lifetime customers for big tobacco. Lifetime customers, that is, until they develop serious tobacco-related illnesses and join the some 400,000 people who die every year in the United States as a result of tobacco-related illness. Tuesday evening's meeting ended with a whimper as Del Norte County Council Joel Campbell Blair got to the crux of the issue.
We're not going to do a ban on flavors or some sort of a density ban, then the TRL doesn't make any sense. It's not going to give you this tool that we don't have now that's going to radically change things, especially when by every account I've heard tonight, people are buying it legally. It's not a problem with people selling to minors. It's a problem of the availability of flavors is trickling down. That's not what you're going to address. I mean, it's the same amount of staff time to do some kind of weak sauce TRO to do anything versus do the ban.
And Crescent City Mayor Jason Greeno responded, getting exactly what he'd wanted all along.
Doesn't sound like we have consensus on that then.
County supervisors who helped achieve Tuesday evening's result included soon-to-be retiring Jerry Hemmingson and Darren Short. The only incumbent county supervisor actually running for election, Chris Howard, was absent from the meeting, so it's unknown what his position would have been, though a source close to the situation tells KFUG that he was personally requested to attend this meeting. City council members who sided with vape purveyors included Mayor Jason Greeno, Vice Mayor Isaiah Wright, Councilmember Bo Smith, and Councilmember Ray Altman.
I would like to say to you, students, that I don't believe that this is a student overreach. I think you guys, I'm very proud of you for getting together. And up here is a group of people who care about issues in their community. And we just want to find solutions. Just because it may not happen tonight, down the road, we may find a solution or meet somewhere in the middle. But we hear you asking for help. And you shouldn't just be discouraged by things like government overreach, stuff like that. We really do care once you guys start voting, you'll understand that, if you don't vote, you don't change anything. I didn't feel like there was enough information here tonight to make a decision on a TRL. It might look a little bit different down the road. I don't really support this model, but that doesn't mean there's not a solution and that we're not going to try. So I just want you to know that I appreciate you coming tonight. I thought it'd be a little cooler if there was like a group of bakers that were like, man, it's cool, but you don't always hear both sides, that's just a joke. Thank you.
Hilarious. The two elected officials who decided to stand with Del Norte County youth were Crescent City Council member Blake Inscore and Del Norte County Supervisor Valerie Starkey.
When I tried to make a list of pros and cons on doing this, I got a bunch of pros. I do have some cons. The cons is the time involved in putting it together. There's going to be costs in doing this. But then when I start looking at the pros of being able to do real-time enforcement of laws that are already on the books, being able to address what is become a growing trend that really concerns me. And it's something that has affected my family, and something that I'm concerned is going to affect the next generation into my grandchildren. And it does concern me. And I do think that there are times where we, as policymakers, make decisions for the benefit of the people that we represent that may not be popular. But if you're doing it for the right reason, if we're not trying to be punitive, we're not trying to hurt businesses, we're trying to mitigate it at the source, as opposed to spending all of our time dealing with it downstream where we see the symptoms. And that's why I support it. I don't want it to be all of this. I appreciate what Joel said, but I think there needs to be some. I would just like us to try to find common ground with what that something could be and find how we can do this together, if for no other reason, for local enforcement and to provide greater level of protection of the next generation being addicted to something that I think if you ask anybody that's my age, because you kind of got to get to Jerry and I's age before you're really willing to be honest about some of those things, and you can just say, yeah, I wish I'd never had.
And I'd just like to say that I'm in line with that. I don't necessarily think that we need to eliminate the 21 and older stores. But I would like to see some sort of TRL that I don't want to take away business, but in going into discount liquors, yesterday, he said, take the flavors. I don't care. That's not their thing. And talking with different businesses, if we would get their buy-in for the most part if we don't target the 21 and older stores. That's where I had my hang up. Mm-hmm. So the way that Blake had said it, that's something that I would be agreeable to if that's something that we can legally pursue. I understand it is a government overreach, and I am not for that. However, we have to look at what we're going to do. If that message that our community wants to send is that we value our youth, we protect our youth, and we're going to do everything that we can from this position to keep the vapes and the flavored tobacco and nicotine away from our youth. That's the message that personally I want to be sending to our community. Are they going to get it? That's another problem for another day. Because the school has to come up with some more enforcement. That's another problem for another day. Here today, we're talking about what can we do as the policymakers in this community to minimize it and limit it. So that's why I am supporting the tobacco retail license.
As they've done previously when it comes to this issue, Crescent City Mayor Jason Greeno and Council Member Bo Smith fell back on the tired, slippery slope argument. If they were to do something to regulate the sale of flavored vapes in Crescent City and Del Norte County, where would it all end? County Supervisor Jerry Hemmingson bemoaned the lack of accountability and personal responsibility.
There doesn't seem to be any accountability anymore in our society. And I think that's the big issue with you're putting the burden now on the retailer, and there doesn't seem to be any accountability on the other side of that, so on the purchaser.
A little bit of context is in order here. The retailers that are being talked about are adults. The purchasers are children. And they're all swimming in an environment where big tobacco is spending millions of dollars in marketing, lobbying, and political action committees in order to make billions of dollars, including working to overturn a state law that would ban the sale of flavored vapes. I have over 3 hours of audio that I'm trying to wade through in order to put this report together for you today. The fact of the matter is that I'm tired because I didn't sleep very well last night. I tend not to be overly affected by the news I'm covering. But the joint meeting of the Del Norte County Supervisors and Crescent City Council that took place on Tuesday evening is a glaring exception. I watched a group of so-called leaders, save two, literally make the choice to play their part in condemning local young people to, for at least some, addiction, illness, and likely early death by choosing to protect the ability to sell flavored vapes and the drug dealing of big tobacco over the health and lives of the children of this community. Embarrassing, infuriating, pathetic, sad, and shameful. For KFUG Community News, I'm Mike Thornton.